there, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about rebooting old brands, which has happened a lot in the last, few months in cinema. It happens all the time in cinema. Cinema's always about rebooting stuff. From the 20s and 30s, 1920s and 30s, where they were, taking stuff from plays and from old stories. Film has always been parasitical towards stories from anywhere. They'll always grab them. And then at some point they'll start remaking stuff that they invented themselves because people know them, so they want to see them redone again. And every some years you get less of that, but recently you've had quite a lot. You get into summer a lot with the sequels and things, but today I'm actually going to look at stuff that aren't like the blockbusters. These are not the blockbusters. Well, there's one, but it's such a weird branding thing that I don't see how it can be successful because it's not been. But generally, it's like these are lesser brands are still getting rebooted, or brands that are less commercial for having massive wide success that have been rebranded. So I'm going to start with the Toxic Avenger 2025, which came out recently. It stars Peter Dinklage as a guy who's down in his luck. He's got a brain cancer that's going to kill him in 6 months. He cannot get insurance by anybody. His wife's died, and so he's stuck with his stepson who does not respect him. The streets are crime ridden, all due to the fact that everyone's run by this guy, the gangster. There's a kind of corporate boss played by Kevin Bacon who has been doing all these beauty products that end up making people get ill, but that's what they're selling. But even he's in problems because people are getting wise to the fact that his products are terrible. So it's a world that everything's going wrong, and essentially, and because it's based on the trauma films from the 80s, it's very broad. They're not trying to be subtle. Macon Blair, who did a bunch of stuff the last 10 years, tends to do more subtle stuff, but this one he's gone kind of broad, sort of like Murder Party, which he was involved with years ago. And it's this kind of broad kind of comedy. So the toxic Peter Dinklage, about a third of the way through the film, is thrown in toxic waste when he's trying to rob Kevin Bacon's factory. He knows where the money is because he's a janitor there, and he's like, okay, you're not going to give me the money to get these drugs, I'm going to steal the money from you. Unfortunately, he robs the place at the same time as someone's doing a investigation, because it's an investigation into the toxicity of the plant, which is completely ignored because all the politicians are paid off. Of course they are. And essentially, both of these things happen the same night. These crazy characters who are they're basically a violent rock band who are managed by the brother of Kevin Bacon, played by Elijah Wood, who's this kind of weird hunchback character. He sends them out to do the dirty work because go and do this dirty work for my brother, we'll get money to keep the band going. So as they go out, they end up sending it to defend Bacon's interests while keeping it nice and violent and illegal, and keep away from the police. So Dinklage is thrown in a sewage, comes back out as a Toxic Avenger, and starts getting revenge on all the people. And he also starts helping a journalist who was trying to, or the assistant to the journalist who was working undercover, who's trying to prove that these people are all horrible and, as evil as they obviously seem in the film, because no one's been subtle here. This film's a blast. This film is so ridiculous. It's the gore is over the top, and just silly. It's people get jaws ripped off. People just get horrible injuries throughout it. It's all played for laughs. Nothing. The kind of emotional side of Dinklage trying to bond with his stepson is wonderfully done, especially when he's a monster. Because Dinklage doesn't play a character as a monster; he does his voice as a monster, but he plays a character in the first third of the movie, sort of RoboCop thing. And it's the sense of that you get the actor and then you get the guy in the suit. But Robocop is still Peter Weller, but in this one it's a different actor doing the Toxic Avenger. So who's an actress who could do the suit work. But it all works. The film is just a lot of fun. I was never really into the Toxic Avenger movies. I have a friend who loves them, but I'm not really into them. But this one would really work for me. This one was really enjoyable. It felt very much like we know what we're doing. We're doing this kind of trashy thing. We're having some fun with it. And that's it. That's all you need. So yeah, go watch it. It's just a lot of fun. If you're wanting a trashy little movie, it's self-aware and it's very 80s and how broad it can be. But still like, done in 90 minutes. It's like we're not wasting your time. This works. Next we have Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, which is actually quite decent. It was one of those films when it was announced, it was a mix of, oh that's interesting, also dread, because we've all seen Blues Brothers 2000 and other films like Two Jakes. Now I like both those films, but they're very flawed. They're incredibly flawed. And we always have that thing of the sequels that can destroy the original. Especially the original's viewed as a classic and they do a sequel years later and it's like, well, just leave it, it's fine. If you've seen Gladiator 2 recently, you know what I'm talking about. A film that absolutely destroyed everything good about the first film. But this one works pretty well. There are some flaws. Chris Addison plays this guy who's like this kind of manager, this pop manager, and he plays him too broad. It's a character that should have been done deadpan. Instead he overdoes it and it's like someone should have just toned him down quite a bit because this wasn't needed. But the fact that the film embraces the fact that these are these old guys now. They're not doing a tour, they're doing one concert and they have to try and they're falling out and they have to get back together, practice, deal with each other's egos, which is mainly dealing with the ego of Michael McKean's character, David St. Hubbins, who still has that kind of ego. The other two, Derek Smalls, played by Harry Shearer, and Nigel Huffnall, who's played by Christopher Guest. They're okay in their lives. Like Nigel's still stupid, but he's enjoying his life with his girlfriend. He owns a cheese shop, also has guitars in it, which is silly, but somehow they make it work. Just because Guest actually just completely commits to it. And Harry Shearer runs his glue shop. And this idea of these old guys who have just become obsessed with these little things in their lives, and they're quite happy with it. So they're happy to be left alone and do their thing. It's like, oh, there's a camera here talking to me, that's nice, I'll yap on for a bit. And then we're going to do this concert. But, the suggestion is Derek Small is still kind of single on the lookout. He embarrassing still try to hit on the new drummer, who's a woman, who turns out to be gay, so he doesn't succeed at all. An idea of he was kind of the lecherous one, and I think the joke with him basically is the only reason he's safe in Me Too is because no one remembers who he is. But they're both old guys who are just into the thing. Davison Hubbins, who's always the kind of pretentious one in the group, always had all these weird things. He's now doing stuff. He's still now acting as if he's self-aware, but he really isn't. He's still pretentious. He still will go off on weird riffs about things and try and interest him in doing variations of the theme that they're just meant to rehearse and play, because they're just meant to play the old tracks, that's it, just do one concert, play old tracks. He's trying to adjust the tracks to do these new things he's been thinking about, and everyone's always like, what the fuck are you doing? Really, what are you doing? There's just this, the best scene is them trying to do this, and he's just teeing off the side, then Paul McCartney shows up. This has two mega cameos, McCartney and Elton John, and these two actually work. There's a cameos early when they try and get drummers with these celebrity drummers. None of them will do the job because they know about the death rate of the drummers, which is a bit awkward. It's a bit too much. But in the case of Elton John and McCartney, it actually works because McCartney comes in just basically being in the studio doing his own thing in a different studio within the same building. And he just comes in to see them because he's heard of them, he knows who they are. And he tries to tell David that this idea he's got is garbage, that his bandmates are right, this is a stupid idea. And David is just being a total dick to a guy who is a Beatle, and the other band members are kind of aghast his pretensions. And that really works. McCartney understands exactly what he's playing. Elton John works too because he's playing a guy who's been brought in to do a number for the band by the manager and knows who they are, and he's having fun with it, and he's just this absurd legend of rock that's too good for this, but he's fine with them, he enjoys the songs, and he's okay with them. It's just this idea that they're all musicians are musicians and they like playing with each other, basically. So, I mean, the two big ones you thought would be embarrassing are the ones that actually work best. And the whole film is this feel of, we're not trying to be Spinal, the first Spinal Tap. We're not trying to do that. This is just like, these are old guys getting together. There was a falling out that eventually gets resolved. It turns out to be something really silly because this band is petty and these band members can be silly. And it all works. It's just the idea of them in New Orleans and try to work out the culture, and there's some weird gag going through it. But it just all kind of works because the actors know what they're doing. They're not awkward. And the trouble with the Blues Brothers 2000 was they threw it in tons of stuff in the studio wanted, and a lot of the bandmates from the first one were not good actors, so it always felt very awkward. And this one, no, they actually are much more savvy about what people can do and what they can't do. And when a gag has run out, just park it somewhere. So it's a nice little film. It's like, it's not trying to be the greatest film ever made. It's just an epilogue to the first film. And it works as such. There is some funny moments. There's a lot of dry moments that you'll chuckle at. And it's like, it's nice. It's a nice little film. It's not perfect. I mean, the big thing is, you can tell Chris Addison thought he was in Spinal Tap. And he was the one actor who was trying to be, I'm in Spinal Tap. And it's like, no, you shouldn't have done that. That was embarrassing. But everyone else understands what they're doing. And it works. It's not a film you're going to watch as much as Spinal Tap, but it's a film you can put on every so often as like an addition to Spinal Tap, and it works nicely for what it is. Right, now we go to two variations of Dracula. We have Abraham's Boy and Dracula Love Tale. So Abraham's Boy is an indie film starring Titus Welliver as Van Helsing and Justin Moorhouse as Mina. This takes place essentially 20 years after Dracula. Van Helsing, after they killed Dracula, Van Helsing has trained all these guys to be vampire hunters, and now he's moved to America with Mina, and they're living in this house in the far west. Van Helsing is a third doctor, but he's isolated from people. He goes about his work, but he's very mysterious. He's got two sons. You have an older son and a younger son. The younger son is still naive, but he says something's going on. The older son has been used to the idea that something weird's been happening with his parents, and his mother's ill, and his father's trying to save her and trying to help her, but he's starting to suspect he's actually doing damage to her around helping her. And you've got all this sense of vampirism going on in here. Is there still vampires here? Is there not? Is it almost a disease where everything's in his head? Like, was the original Dracula a vampire, or was it just someone they killed because they were foreign? And is Van Helsing over here because he's in the run from the police number in Europe? And all these stories kind of evolve through this film. That is like, I think it's about 18 minutes or something. The problem is it's based on a short story, and you feel like it's still 10 minutes too long. The mood's terrific though. The mood's wonderful. The mood on this farm is wonderful. The acting's terrific. The kid playing the eldest son's actually quite good. He's you can tell he's a young actor, but you tell there's potential there. He's working with good actors who are probably helping him. But the mood is terrific in the film. The acting is all appropriate. There's little bits of supporting parts that come in and out of the film. And it's just really well done. It's like, it came out and got sort of so-so reviews because it was like, yeah, we get what it is, but, you know, no one was that interested in it when it came out. And it's failed to find its way around the world. But I would highly recommend it. It is a really good mood piece. And it's not going to change your world or anything, but it's a nice little Dracula film. I think it'll become more interesting to people as time goes on. It's much more like The Addiction than it is a vampire film. It's got that kind of feel to it of where we're making this little film of the vampires that's not trying to have tons of action scenes or anything. It's just about the mood of vampirism and what it says about human beings. And what the obsession with supernatural says about human beings. So, yeah, Abraham's Boys is very good. Dracula Love Tale is a Luc Besson film, and it's weird as hell. I should say that straight away, it's weird as hell. But it's very enjoyable. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, but I really had a good time with this film. The trailer's awful. I saw the trailer and was like, why do I want to watch this film? This trailer's terrible. But the film itself is much better, because it's Besson. If you know Luc Besson films, when he makes like films about Hollywood subjects, he tends to have a sense of humour about it. So, if you've seen The Fifth Element, or Leon, or Valerie and the 5,000 Cities, you know there's a sense of humour there. And this comes through the film. Now, there's bits at the beginning and the end that are very influenced by the Francis Coppola Dracula. The whole idea of a reincarnation of a loved one who died is done again in this one. And there was an influence of the Coppola films throughout this film. So much that you'd think Besson would be worried about plagiarism suits, but it's enough different that you can say, oh, it's an influence. And Besson does his own stuff with it. So there's the whole idea of Dracula is like Vlad the Impaler, and he goes to protect his people from the Turks, and his wife gets killed, and he denounces God. All that stuff that you know from the Coppola film is in this one. But this one takes like 20 minutes rather than 5 minutes, which helps a lot, because you get the idea of their passion for each other a lot bit more. You also get the idea that he goes out, he destroys the Turks, and then he realises his wife's in trouble, and there's an actual action scene, a chase scene for him trying to protect her, and she dies anyway, and his actions cause her death as he's trying to protect her. And then his whole idea of he kills the people who talk to the church at his castle, and then he murdered them, and then he denounces God and becomes a cursed soul. It just takes longer, but Caleb Laundrie Jones is the actor playing Dracula, and he's really good. Even when Besson's taking the piss, he's still really good. And he's got an intensity to him that always works for the part, which means he can be threatening when he needs to be, but also he's a guy who's messed up. Really, more than being an evil guy who's intentionally evil, he's messed up, and he gets drunk in his own power a lot of the time. But there's some things in the film that are so weird. It's like, no, he's probably an evil guy to him sometimes. There's a revelation at the end that's so weird. It's like, it makes me rethink some of this film. And I don't think Besson thought this through if he wanted to make this guy likeable. Let's say it's to do with what the gargoyles are, because these gargoyles are moving in his castle. You find out what they are later on, and it's like, oh, that's just weird and disturbing and, you know, very problematic and strange. But it's just like, that's French, that's based on being weird. There's also things that you find out what Dracula did in the intervening years between the time of him damnation and what he did before he decided to invade civilized world again. You see him going through different cities, not spreading vampirism, actually trying to find this reincarnation of his love, and also learning new habits and learning stuff about how to use smells to seduce people and how to do this and that, and still trying to be a decent person, but he can't go and he's living through the plague, and he can't go near a church, and he's finding his eternal life. He can't die. He tries to kill himself, he can't die. So you get a lot of things about what he is and what he can do that the Coppola version kind of ignored. So this is quite cool to see it. You also have Christoph Waltz as the Van Helsing kid. But he's not Van Helsing. He's this guy who's a priest who works the church and does things the church don't want to admit to. Dealing with like curses and things, he goes and deals with it. And so he's a very matter-of-fact view of it, and he realises that the Dracula curse is on. There are disciples of Dracula in Paris rather than London, which makes more sense for the novel, to be honest. Like, infecting Paris rather than trying to travel to an island makes more sense. It's something that Hammer used to get around by not specifying where they were ever. So you never had the sea journeys for Dracula in the Hammer films either. And you just have this sense of being in Paris and being in France allows Besson to have like crazy sequences of like some things are very French, and you have like Dracula and like halls and mirrors and all these like county fairs that are very French rather than like a more staid British version. It's the thing is like one thing you notice about Coppola, because he's American doing a Dracula story, and it happens here with Besson, is they're interested in some bits of the story. I'm not sure if Coppola was ever interested in Dracula. He was almost interested in Evan Brown Dracula. And they elevate the stuff that's weird into the side of the story into the main story in a way that changes it from being this creepy guy to be something more fantastical. That makes a different offshoot of Dracula than the Hammer stuff. But it makes it interesting, and it's different, it's more fantastical, it's a genuine take on Dracula that weakens certain supernatural elements, but also strengthens the fantastical. So it makes an interesting variation of Dracula, if you're interested in the more fantastical version of Dracula. So, these films this film is wonderful, these kind of films, the fantastical versions I really like. And the film potters on in its own way, doing flashbacks, has some fun scenes with Harker, the version of Harker in the Castle Dracula, where Dracula's ready to kill him, and then I ask what happened to him, and Dracula tells him the story of his life rather than killing him, and then Harker has to escape when Dracula's gone, which is very unlike the book and how they do it, but it's quite nice to see a different version of this story. And it just he's having a lot of fun as the old man Dracula. He's really enjoying himself, but he's much more menacing than Oldman was as old man Dracula. There is a kind of threat to him, and his way of becoming youthful again to go to Paris is brilliantly over the top. Just say it involves nuns, and basically Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss did a version of this a few years ago when they did their Dracula. But this is how you do it. This is so over the top. It's like, yeah, this is how you do Dracula and nuns in a movie. So yeah, the delights of this film and the whole thing of the actress playing the Lucy character, who's not Lucy in this film. She just does that acolyte of Dracula who's going around and trying to find his lost love and infecting lots of men and just having a lot of fun. She's hilarious in this film. She's just having so much fun playing a villain, and her death is so over the top. It's great. And Waltz is having fun as well, just playing this guy who's well ahead of everyone else with how ridiculous the film is and how annoying it is, but also he knows that he's a straight man, but he can have lots of looks that are very enjoyable. So the whole film is just way over the top. There's sequences at the end where they attack Castle Dracula with an army, of a modern army, and Dracula just kills them all in fun ways, and it's just, everything's ridiculous but fun. You've seen the story before, this does all these weird versions of it. So yeah, I mean, it's like, don't go in taking it seriously, just go in and having some fun with it. Okay, now we go to the one film in this that has a blockbuster budget, which is Tron Ares, which they spent a fortune on and end up with a film that's made less than Morbius. It stars Jared Leto, obviously, and the film's so stupid and absurd that it's astonishing it made. It's one of those films that did no one read the script and realise the script's stupid. The script has 3D printing that can reprint human beings, machines that work intricately rather than just solid objects, fruit that works, trees that can produce things. It's like, what? Because this printer can come from the computer that can do all this. Which is just stupid, it's just magic basically. So you know by 5 minutes in this film is stupid. Really stupid, but it's like, okay, I can go with it as long as you have pretty images. The film has lots of pretty images, but it keeps on getting stupider. There's this limit to the thing where it's 29 minutes and the thing collapses. So you can only be out for 29 minutes. So if you're a Tron person coming from the machine, you can only do something for 29 minutes. So if you're in a mission, you have 29 minutes. Which becomes a real problem for the film because so much of the plot has them having to do things that are complicated. It would take you hours to do rather than 29 minutes. So you're watching the film thinking, this is stupid, this is dumb. And no matter how pretty the image, there's no suspense because you know they've stretched reality way too far. And you know the actors don't have a clue what they're doing. They're in this film and they know they're in a ridiculous film. Apart from Jared Leto, does not know he's in a ridiculous film. It seems. There's one really terrific scene is when they're in the actual Tron world and they're escaping Tron world. And it's everything you want from a Tron movie. Unfortunately, it's only like 5 minutes long, and the rest of the film's set in the real world with bad comic relief and dumb plots and dumb corporate machinations and people doing things for no sense whatsoever. So you're watching the film just bored about how dumb it is. I refer to it as another 40 hours of the Tron series where, remember that film, it was like, no one wants to be here, no one has any motivation, this plot's just dead in arrival. This film's the same. It has great music, it has some nice visuals, but they don't make up for the fact that it's really stupid. It's incredibly stupid. So that's a warning, health warning. Do not see this film. Unfortunately, it's best things about it I would do with the scale, but it means sitting through the cinema without a fast forward button. So have a really big screen at home and maybe it might be okay. But oh boy. So finally we go to Play Dirty. It's a new Shane Black movie. It's in this one because it's another Parker movie. Now Parker is a character that's gone through Point Blank, which is still the best one, the Lee Marvin one by John Boorman. You've had The Outfit, which is a Robert Duvall's Parker movie, directed by John Flynn, which is okay, but I mean Tarantino loves it, but I don't get it. It's just like it's there's good bits in it, but essentially I've covered it recently, and the best things in it are Joe Don Baker and Robert Ryan. Duvall's a kind of mediocre Parker. You have the Mel Gibson one, where it's the director's cut is quite good. The theatrical cut is not. The director's cut is really good actually, but the theatrical cut ruins it. You had the Jason Statham Parker, which was okay. I've saw it once. It was enjoyable for what it was. It's a Statham film on a Parker movie. And now you have the Matt Wahlberg one with Shane Black. This actually has gotten some sniffy reviews, but I've actually thought it was probably the strongest Parker movie for a very long time. There's also a Goddard Parker movie that is not very loyal to Parker, when it has Anna Karenina as Parker. It's a weird one, made in the USA. I'd definitely say go watch it, but I wouldn't put it in the Hollywood Parker movies. This new one, Played Dirty, is one of the better Hollywood Parker movies. But it's better to watch as a Shane Black movie. Now the big problem with this film is it's shown pretty much directly to Amazon Prime. And it needs a big budget. It's got a decent sized budget, but it was the effects were designed for to be shown essentially on TV. So they're not the top level, and it was kind of a case of they wanted some action scenes, and they got some action scenes. And I thought the action scenes on the big screen were enjoyable because I still watched them on a projector. But on the small screen, the deployment might not be as impressive. So that's kind of the issue of the film. But I like the film. It's not Shane Black's best film. It's not his worst. It's in the middle. It was meant to be. Originally it was meant to be Robert Downey Jr. playing Parker. I think he went and did Oppenheimer instead, which you can't really blame him. Oppenheimer did the Sympathizer, the TV show, so he was busy, and they went with Mark Wahlberg, who's actually is an actor who's bad in a lot of stuff, but we get him cast right with a proper director, he can get good stuff from him. In this one, he's actually pretty decent as Parker. He's like no nonsense. He does what he's told, and he's actually one of the better Parkers. It was very surprising because, like most of us, when I saw him cast as Parker, I was like, what? But he didn't look that bad in the trailer. Then when I saw the film, he's a good Parker. He pulls off the ending, which is very Parkerish ending. And this is based on the series of Parker novels, so you've got character. It's not trying to remake Point Blank. It takes place after Point Blank. Point Blank story, or the story they used in Payback, the Mel Gibson one, is referenced as like he's been expelled from the outfit. So those kind of movies are referenced as a backstory. But it's his own thing. He's been expelled from the outfit. He can't go to New York. Unfortunately, his big scam, making him a lot of money, takes place in New York. So he has to go to New York and then hide from the outfit until he does his scheme. And then, pretty much, there's plots within plots. Things go wrong. And as in a heist movie, things will go wrong. They have to improvise. The villains are smarter than they look, but Parker's also well aware of some of the things they might do. There's some nice twists. There's some nice moments where Parker's trying to figure stuff out. It's not the most amazing film visually, but it gets by. You know, Shane Black is not like he's a writer who also directs his stuff to protect his stuff. He's not a director who's like visually like knockout. You're never going to get that. Which, even you look at like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Nice Guys as two of his best films, they're not visually knockouts. This is character stuff. This one, you've also got some good character stuff. I wish there was more of it and less action, but that's what they were. They were asked to do an action movie version of Parker, and they deliver some good action scenes in it. But again, I think you need a big screen for it. Because I was told they had bad special effects. When I watched the projector, you didn't really notice effects if there was a bigger screen, so I think they might come across worse on the smaller screen. But the thing is like, it's enjoyable for what it is. I found it actually gets stronger the more it went on. As more revelations happened and the more they did, you found out that some characters were much smarter than they appeared. And you know, and they're actually having to fool people who actually aren't dummies as well, which helps in a film like this. But it also feels like it's Shane Black's doing an adaptation of Parker because he loves the novels, but he may be too close to it to actually get at, you know, it becomes a kind of, it's that thing of when Cronenberg did Naked Lunch, one of the criticisms was he was so close to this thing which he revered, which were these Millie Burrows novels. He was so close to it, you never quite got Cronenberg, you never quite got William Burroughs, you got somewhere in between, but it wasn't that well defined. And I think the same case is here. It's like, Shane Black loves Parker, but he would have been better off writing a character inspired by Parker rather than Parker himself. You probably got a better film out of it. But I think also it was a case of people wanted a Parker adaptation, Shane Black loves Parker. And it was like that thing of he'll do a great Parker, and it's like, yeah, maybe he was too close to it. But he was also doing a lot of books rather than just one. So he was bringing characters from, there's Grofield, who's a character from the books it's a more colourful character that hasn't been in the films before they brought in. There's some characters who are some of the psychic characters from some of the novels, from some of the heists and the novels that are there in this film as well. So it's obviously made by a fan of the books who brings in lots of stuff to it. But it's like, it's not quite balanced as well as Nice Guys or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. There is a sense of it should have been one thing or another. It should have either been an action movie or a more low budget Parker movie rather than the action movie kind of jumps in every so often to it. And you get some good action scenes, but they're kind of in the way of the other stuff. But I still enjoyed it though. That's the thing is, the opening action scene was good, whereas his height's going wrong, and it goes into the absurdity that Shane Black's good at. And there's lots of little things that work. It's just that it's kind of half and half. It was like, you just wish he'd done his inspired by Parker character rather than Parker himself. I think it would have worked better. And it would probably give him more to do if it was inspired by Parker rather than Parker. Because if you look at Wahlberg with people like Adam McKay and the other guys, or when he did stuff with David O. Russell, if you got him engaged, he can be good. You just have to get him engaged. And you could sense that Black got him engaged in this. Just that there might have been a bit more if Black had done a based on Parker rather than try to be Parker. But it's still enjoyable. I still enjoy the film. I'll still happily rewatch it. Not as much as I would some of the best Black movies, but it's still a enjoyable film. It got worse reviews than it deserved because I think people had such high expectations of Black doing Parker, and they wanted something different for what the film was. And I think also the film was a bit unbalanced, but unbalanced in a good way. In the sense, it's an interesting film that never quite comes together, but it comes together well enough and it's interesting. It's sort of like Abraham's Boys in a sense. I think also Dracula Love Story, where I think in future years it'll be thought of as better than it is at the moment, when people watch it for what it is rather than what they want it to be. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with some more, but that's me for now. Bye.